Welcome back to Fast Track. I'm Kyle Bloyd.
And I'm Laura Hoffman.
In this segment of Fast Track, we'll join Brian Wolf for his weekly weather notes.
And introduce you to Sexual Assault Awareness Month.
Before we get to that, Laura has a very disturbing update.
Recently, Purdue police arrested a young man for allegedly beating a female student at Hilltop Apartments. Minwoo Oh, who is not a Purdue student, is being held on a $25,000 bond on the charges of strangulation, battery causing serious bodily injury, and confinement while armed. Each charge is a felony that collectively could add up to a $30,000 fine and up to 20 years in prison.
The month of April has been declared Sexual Assault Awareness Month to help raise public awareness about sexual violence. To help educate Boilermakers about the importance of promoting sexual assault awareness, Fast Track will present a 4-part series on the issue on our websites. The first segment will further introduce Sexual Assault Awareness Month.
In this week's Weather Notes, Brian Wolf will discuss lightning theories. Let's go to Brian in the Weather Center for more information.
In this week's Weather Notes, we're going to talk about lightning and how it forms, but first we need to get a good grasp on what the definition of lightning is. It's a visible electrical discharge produced by a thunderstorm, and there's a few methods in which we see lightning. We see cloud to air, cloud to cloud, and cloud to ground. That's what produces thunder. Now, experts are not 100% sure on how lightning forms, but several theories exist, and we're only going to talk about a few theories today: the dipole method and the tripole method. Now, the dipole method is where you see two separate regions of electrical charge inside a cloud. Now, the tripole is where you see three separate regions of electrical charge. But how do these charges build up inside of a thunderstorm? Well, what happens is we have a thing we call graupel. It's just a bigger thing of ice in the cloud, and then what happens is it collides with a smaller piece of ice, just an ice crystal, and what happens is when these collide, they create charges on each other, and because the graupel is a lot heavier, it creates a negative charge and it drops down into the bottom and middle of the cloud, and the ice crystal thus is a lot smaller and a lot lighter, so the updraft carries that up into the top of the thunderstorm, thus moving all the positive charges up high in the thunderstorm. Now, let's get into the process of how lightning forms. We've got the charges positive on top, negative on the bottom part of the cloud. Now, what happens is we get something called stepped leaders. They're very crooked looking, and you can't really see this to the eye. It is invisible, and what happens is this kind of creates the flow path of the lightning bolt, and then what ends up happening is we see the return stroke begins to carry the charge from the cloud to the ground. You can see the path is upward. Now, what goes ahead and continues to happen as we head through time. Now, granted, this happens in just a matter of a split second. We don't see the steps that we've covered already. You can see the flow is from the cloud to the ground, and when the return stroke completes, the negative charge from the cloud of the base is carried downward, and that's what we'll see in the very next step. All that negative charge has been produced in the lightning bolt, and we call that a dart leader, which reionizes, and the conductive path recreates another lightning, and we see several strokes actually with the negative charge, and it drains completely out of the cloud. And so that's what one lightning stroke actually does. Now, what about lightning as far as temperature is concerned and how that leads to thunder? Well, as we look at lightning here, we got a return lightning stroke increases the temperature actually of the air to 53,540 degrees Fahrenheit. Yeah, that's quite warm. Actually, that's warmer than the surface of the sun. And when it does that in a very short period of time, you expand air, and it's kind of like a shock wave, and that is how we hear thunder. That'll do it for this week's Weather Notes. Let's throw it back to the studio.
When they aren't in the boardroom or working on campus, student organizations at Purdue have a place to get closer as a group and closer to nature. Phil Wrighthouse has more about Purdue's High Ropes course.
In the woods next to Purdue Airport, a 3-story behemoth awaits eager groups wanting an extreme challenge and an intense team-building experience. The Boiler Challenge High Ropes course is part of Purdue's Department of Recreational Sports and is an outdoor team-building experience. Teams of 4 or 5 are put together, given a short training session, and then put through a series of challenges that test their mental and physical toughness, as well as their ability to work and communicate as a team. Through success and adversity, teams come away with a closer understanding of how their group works, as well as the accomplishment of having completed an over 4-hour challenge. For more information on how your group can book the course, visit their website. For Fast Track, I'm Phil Wrighthouse.
Coming up, we'll have your men's and women's basketball wrap up.
And we also have this week's Sports Roundup. Stay with us.
Purdue's nursing program is one of the top in the nation because of the state-of-the-art equipment and hands-on learning. Students are able to get real training and feedback without having to put a real person in harm's way. They are given feedback and constructive criticism while in the classroom that they can use once they are in the real hospital setting. Students will learn everything ranging from basic tasks to the most intricate details of patient care. Purdue isn't just about engineering. Come visit the nursing program at Johnson Hall.